Welcome to the Phenomenal Podcast, an authentic forum where real conversations happen. I'm your host, Phen, and each episode features an unscripted chat with everyday people. Get ready for a genuine, raw discussion. Enjoy the conversation. What's up? It is episode 14. I have super special guest, my father-in-law, my wife's biological dad. I play golf with her stepdad, that I mentioned as her father-in-law, or my father-in-law as well.
But you have two fathers-in-law.
I do have two father-in-laws. So this is Paul Brown, and he's my father-in-law. We've known each other 11 years at this point.
I was trying to wonder about that. I knew it had been quite. I mean, you were a kid.
Yeah.
And now you're a man.
Well, Josie and I met when I was 17, she was 15, and now I'm 28, and so...
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, you've grown up to be a fine young man.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
And I say that, with pure sincerity.
I appreciate that. Josie also gave me some feedback that I do too much talking before my guests, so I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit.
See, that's harsh because it's your podcast. So, anybody that's listening, tuning in, ostensibly wants to hear you talk.
Yeah.
But thank you. So you want me to introduce
myself?
myself?
Just give a brief
Okay.
synopsis.
My name is Paul Brown. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, or well, more technically, Marietta, Georgia. Well, actually, no, technically, back to Atlanta. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Atlanta area my whole life. I've been in the antique business my whole life. I opened an antique store, actually, rather, an auction gallery in about 2006. And, as a self-employed businessman with two young children, your wife being one of them.
Right.
And I took it upon myself to earn my own way. I had come up through an entrepreneurial family. My parents owned their own business, which I worked at for quite a number of years. It got to a point, I think I'm just like a systems guy, right? So I watched and worked and grew in their system and saw lots of things that I felt like I could make better.
Sure.
Not like saying they weren't doing it right, but you want to give it a little bit of your own personal touch to it.
Absolutely.
Streamline it a little bit. And so over time, you get older, year after year, and finally it gets to the point where it's time to leave. And there's with no animosity. It was just I needed to do something for me and prove that I could do it. And I went through lots of good times, bad times, trials and tribulations, and ultimately triumphs, I feel. And I still am in the antique business, though not nearly as much as I was. Truth to tell you, I bought something on the way over here. I stopped in. I don't know what first of all, I don't want to retire. I love working. And that is like the biggest secret. If anybody wants to know the secret of a happy life, do what you love. Figure out a way to exploit your love for it. To leverage your love for it and have it make a little money.
Yeah.
That's the key. I wake up in the morning. I woke up this morning knowing I was going to come over here and talk to you, trying to figure out which time I'm going to be able to go, work.
Right.
Because I love it.
Right.
And it pays me, obviously.
Right.
But you can't work just for the money.
Absolutely.
You just can't.
Right.
It's a recipe for an unhappy life, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that this forum is for me. Right. It's just something to try to figure out. Hey, I like conversing with people. I like having conversations with ordinary people, not these super famous people that have probably sold their souls in some capacity.
Probably.
Right.
It might not be possible to be uber wealthy without doing that. I'm pretty sure, and I don't necessarily mean just the entertainment sector. I mean everywhere.
Yeah.
We live in a kind of a fallen world, and those who rise up in a fallen world, you got this inversion thing going on, and it's a race to the bottom.
Right.
But that's if you work for money.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, we all need money to live. I get that. I'm not stupid, but there has to be more to it than that. I mean, I could have at some point when right before we got the show. Should I include that in the
Sure,
intro?
Yeah.
I had a television show called Auction Kings for 97 episodes on Discovery Channel. Beginning in 2009, we started filming, and it ran through 2015, and then that led to another show on HGTV called Endless Yard Sale, which was like my favorite job ever.
Yeah.
They gave me like a multi-$1,000 wardrobe, dressed me up,
nice.
Told me where to be, flew me places, and said just be there, introduce the contestants, say a little something about the area, and then meet us on the other side of the state. 12 hours. I'm like, that's a great job.
Yeah, right.
I get paid for that. Right. So I would take off. I'd take the fancy clothes off, put on my regular outfit, and drive around and sightsee and explore, America. And I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And I got outside. You're going to have to keep me off a tangent. I told you that before.
You did.
Because I go pinging every which direction.
That's fine. We have lots of conversations. But that's what the forum is.
Right.
The forum is authentic conversations.
Right.
And it's with normal people who anybody can relate to. Something you say could trigger something for somebody else that leads them to starting maybe their own auction business. Who knows?
What I was saying, though, what I was kind of getting to is that you can do, if money is your god, which I'm sorry for you, but if you want to be rich, you can be rich.
Absolutely.
You focus on it and you decide to do the things that it's going to take in this world, and what that cost will be extracted from you now, later, or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can be rich. If that's really what you want, you can be rich. I had an opportunity before the show started. It was in 2008, I think it was. And a customer of mine, a rich guy, in fact, he was CEO of Colonial Pipeline, which is the pipeline company that runs from Houston and New Orleans all the way up, arcs through Atlanta, and goes all the way up to the Northeast.
That was the one that shut down?
Yes, it was a big deal. It actually runs down my street for a time. Those yellow signs that say "Don't dig here."
Yeah.
The pipeline's there. This is a huge. I think it's like 7 feet in diameter. It pumps natural gas. It's huge.
Yeah,
it's literally the fuel line for the nation.
Right.
Literally. Quite literally. Mm-hmm. And anyway, he was the CEO, and he happened to like collectibles, interesting things. He started coming to auction. We became friendly. And invited me over to dinner one night. We're talking. He'd come to every auction, hang out afterwards, start familiarizing himself with staff. And he approaches me, and he flew me to, on his private jet, he flew me to the Cattlemen's Club in Fort Worth, Texas. Fancy Uber, 1%, 1/10 of 1%.
Did you feel like you fit in there?
I'm okay with Texans. Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't fit in. I fit in better there than I've been, say, here at Capital City Club or Piedmont Driving Club.
Yeah,
I definitely fit in better with the cattlemen.
Right.
Because I'm kind of a country soul for some reason. I fit in better in that environment. Anyway, and he proposed to me, and I remember this was before Auction Kings.
Yeah.
The business was turning a profit. I was paying my bills. I wasn't going hog wild, but it was turning profit. I was supporting my family.
Yeah.
And he offered to buy 51% of it, and because he's a corporate guy and he knows the corporate games and the banking and all that Babylonian money magic, he was going to acquire 51% of my company and then immediately take out a $10 million loan, and we were going to build out locations in Nashville, in Dallas-Fort Worth, potentially Austin, but it was Dallas-Fort Worth times. That's where he was from.
Yeah.
Birmingham, Charlotte, all over the place.
Wow. Okay.
And I was going to have multiple locations.
Yeah.
And that all happened kind of at the time that me and Josie's mother were breaking up. So for a variety of reasons, it wasn't the right thing to do. I mean, I wasn't real comfortable with.
Right.
I don't like debt, first of all.
Yeah.
So what he's leading with, but he said that's how it's done in corporate America today.
Yep.
And if you do a little research, you'll find that he was speaking the truth. All these companies that you've heard of and know, from Coca-Cola to AT&T, they're all in debt. They're all in shadow corporations. They all owned at least a chunk of it by 3 holding companies. And that's just not the world I wanted to live in. I would have probably gotten, rich, but at what cost?
Right.
At what cost? I mean, it was important to me. I think people should always just sort of set a goal, whatever it is. For me, it was very important to be a present and involved father.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I'm very, very close with my dad, but they were pretty much not around. My whole generation more or less raised ourselves,
right?
As it's common knowledge. And there's no bitterness. I mean, I love my parents, and they did a great job, I think. But that being said, I wanted to be present for Elijah and Josie.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was, and you can, that's backed up by the fact that here we are all now adults, and I still have a great relationship with both of them. And then Lily is the bonus, same way, you know. Anyway, set your goal and stick with it.
Yeah, that's my goal. I mean, ultimately, Josie wants to raise our kids and not have to worry about working and whatnot, and so that's my goal, is to get to the point where she can do that, but I can still be present. So
right.
Something that helps.
I hope that I'd love to hear that that's the plan.
Yeah.
because I think I don't think it's obvious, patently obvious that children do better with a stay-at-home mom, frankly.
Right.
And and then so you get into the point. And I went down that road a little bit too, exploring. So you hire somebody to raise your kid.
Yeah.
And what do you pay them? I don't know, $1,000 a week, just for example, right?
Yeah.
And you working all week, and maybe you got a good job. Maybe you made $1,500. Maybe you made $2,000, right? But then you're going to give $500 to the government, so you're down $1,500.
Yeah.
And then you start whittling down. You're like, oh, so for $500, I'm selling out my kids, growing up experience.
Right. Yeah.
And that woman or man won't do as good a job as the mom or the dad. I think moms are better at it.
Yeah.
Dads have their role. Dads have a very important role.
Absolutely.
In fact, I mean, people have daddy issues, and the girls that don't have daddy issues are more solid adults, and that's just a fact.
Right. Josie makes the joke all the time. She's like, who was this person that pushed so hard for women to have more rights than men now?
Right.
Like, women, sure, equality is important because they play a very important role in society, but the push for them to go into the corporate world, to start working everything, it was such a...
That was just a psyop.
Oh, absolutely.
I think everybody knows that at this point. Women, if anybody that looks at it critically and is an adult, knows that women have power anyway. Let me tell you how that works.
Right.
You're a man, who if she wants something, what are you going to do?
I'm going to get it for her. And
power.
Right.
So this notion of that just made double taxable incomes. Is what that did.
Right.
Took the kids out of the house and let them be taught by government schools, which are nothing but propaganda factory. Think about this for schools. They got me out on a school run. I was just kind of a big school guy. Like I wanted to be an English teacher.
Right.
I'm I'm 1 quarter shy of a master's degree in English literature. But you think about it. So 12 years, they come, and they'll even send a car for it. They'll send a bus for it for the kid.
Yeah.
And it's free. I mean, you pay for it through the taxes, but effectively it's free. And they'll provide the transportation, and they'll drill that kid for 12 years. And that kid gets out, senior, 18-year-old, graduates, and ask him if he knows how to, the things we really need in life. Can you provide food? Can you grow food?
Right.
Can you build a shelter?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Can you? How are you with conflict resolution?
Yeah.
Things that we need as adults. Do you know the evils of usury and debt?
Yeah.
Like, do you know the traps of debt that you're gonna see because they start sending you that credit card thing
immediately
as soon as you graduate high school?
Yeah.
The mailbox fills up with them.
Yeah.
Did they teach you about the evils? No, because the school system, the public school system, was designed and then redesigned primarily by the Rockefeller Foundation. They don't want a nation of readers, of critical thinkers.
Right.
They want a nation of workers.
Absolutely.
So they hit that bell. Bell starts up, time to work.
Yeah.
Bell starts, I can eat. Bell starts again, I can leave, but I got homework.
Yeah.
I got to do more at home. And again, what do you really know after 12 years of public school? I mean, if you were a good student. I was a terrible student. And so I didn't, because they didn't foster my love of learning. I have a naturally curious mind.
Yep.
And yet I went all the way through public school, and it wasn't fostered at all. I had to pick up on it myself and learned how much I love to learn, how much I love literature, how much I love, history should be fascinating. It should be every kid's favorite subject.
Right.
And yet, what do they do? A couple of bullshit dates and names. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have censors on this?
You're good.
A couple of dates and names, stuff you don't need to know.
Yeah.
But the real story of how we all got where we got and why this world is the way it is.
Yeah.
They don't teach any of that.
No.
You gotta find that out on your own. And the information is out there, but they're not going to teach it to you.
Right.
So, and if I had to do it over again, I've talked about this with Linda or a number of people. I would have gotten a group together of like-minded parents, found a good teacher, paid her or her a good salary, a good salary, $100,000 a year. We're pulling together 10 parents.
Right.
It's nothing.
Right.
Pay a solid, good salary, get a curriculum, a classical liberal arts curriculum with weight on critical thinking and music and all the things that expand one's mind.
Right.
And the hell with Red Ribbon Week and whatever the hell else they teach in the Cobb County school system.
Right.
That's how I feel about that. I don't even know how we got on that. Oh, because you guys are going to have kids, right?
Eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever that happens.
Yeah, man, family is wealth, dude.
Yeah.
I think I told you that before.
Absolutely.
It's a true story.
Right.
When you have children, I know that both Elijah and Josie and Lily, all three of them, when I'm old, they'll be good to me. But I'm not doing it for that.
Yeah.
But you invest the time on the front end, and the return. I mean, I'm like really good friends with both my kids.
Right.
Like, we're friends.
Yeah.
You know, I don't tell them what to do. They're grown-ups. I haven't told them what to do forever.
Right.
If they come to me for advice, which they do, which also should tell you that I must have done something right, because they keep, coming back. And there's nothing more lovely than having a like a mature adult friendly relationship with your kids. It's awesome. I mean, I'm blessed, man. And
100%.
Part of it, maybe I just got lucky that there's good coming out to shoot, or maybe I helped mold them a little bit. I don't know, but I'm blessed with all three of them, really, because I had a great hand in Lily. I call her the bonus kid. She's not mine biologically, but I mean, she's been living with me since she was 5 years old.
Right, she's been around a while.
You get a little tight with somebody, and they live with you for 15 years.
Absolutely. One of the things you were talking about, the public school system doesn't teach you anything really.
Right.
I'm reading a book. It's called Becoming a King, and the idea is getting more in touch with your God-given masculine soul. So it's like spiritual. It's getting in touch with knowing who God is as a man, as a father, and helping you become a better man as a father. And one of the excerpts that he mentions is in the colonial times when America was founded, and the Indians, they had a relationship with them. Some of the colonials sent a message to one of the Native American tribes and was like, hey, send us 12 of your men and we'll teach them in the ways of fine arts and literature and things like that. And
sounds like a trap.
The Native American chief responded and said, like, we've tried this before, and the men came back and knew not how to hunt, how to protect, how to build shelter.
I mean, they want us. That's a great. I mean, that's so true.
Right, and then the chief said, "Send us 12 of your men, and we will send them back to you as
men." Right.
And so, like,
that's good stuff. And now the colonial people, the pioneers, they were tough. They were tough people. I mean, just even come to a new country.
Yeah.
But it's the whole context and framework within which we've been stuck under for most of recorded history. I mean, from the feudalism, the kings, and all the way back to the Babylonians. I mean, like, it's almost beggars belief how poorly society is structured.
Yeah.
And I sit here, and I don't want to be all doom and gloom black pill, because despite the best efforts of all those powers that ought not be, and they want us fat and sick and stupid and dumb and all that stuff. I got a great life, so you don't have to consent to their stuff.
Right.
You can be the man of your household, which is an honorable position. You're supposed to lead your household. That's your duty. It's not just. I mean,
that was my God-given
that's
duty,
your place in the universe. It's your place in this home.
Yeah.
And she is duty bound to follow you, but it can't be like a slave relationship.
No.
She wants you to lead. She needs you to lead. You should lead.
Absolutely.
And by the same token, you honor her and raise her up, and that's the natural order of things.
Yes.
And it's not. I mean, all those isms are just contrived words anyway. There's no ism.
Right.
It's a man and a woman, and that's a family under the eyes of God. You get and really the state and the people that say isms don't really have a part in it.
Right.
In my opinion.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
All right. That was good.
I'm glad you liked it.
That was good. I mean, it's good
myself.
Yeah.
So we have a list. Did you send me the list?
Yeah, we're good. I want to go back to some of your experiences in running a small business. It's something I'm so interested in.
Yeah.
It's just like people who do it now because, everyone my age.
Well, listen to me. I'm going to tell you a couple of things.
Okay.
In 2024, approximately 10,000 boomers retire every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Of those, 8 to 10% of them have their own business.
I just read the statistic today. Actually.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a true story. And so you could, that's one avenue. But let me reset just a little bit further back.
Yeah.
You are what, 28?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's obvious. It's about time you start thinking about it. So you're not behind or anything. In fact, you're right sort of on target. You have to kind of, pay your dues, for lack of a better term, and understand the business world that's out there. And then as you go through that, you will get ideas of how to either do that same industry or part of it better, or you'll decide that that's really not for you anyway, or you'll take some skills and apply it elsewhere. But the reality is, and again, as a young guy, take your job, you get a good job, it pays your bills, that's great. But as an adult, as you further on into adulthood, you'll realize, if you haven't already, the moment you begin working for somebody else, you're working on their dream.
Yeah.
You're not working on your dream.
Right.
You're working on their dream. And, you know, you're going to give them some hours, 40 hours, whatever the number of hours is, and a big chunk of your life, and you're not going to get much out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not going to, and I don't mean just like financial out of it. I just don't think, and maybe I'm only speaking for myself. I'm probably unemployable, right? I don't want to work for anybody else.
Right.
I couldn't work for anybody else.
Right.
But once you work for yourself, and you're responsible, and you get the highs and the lows. Now that's high risk, high reward.
Right.
But isn't everything worthwhile? High risk, high reward, I think. And
Yeah.
so is child rearing. High risk, high reward.
Right.
It's all that. But once you work for yourself, it's impossible, at least for me,
Mm-hmm.
to ever work for somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't want to work. I mean, no.
Right.
Just no. And so when you do learn to get by, and that gets back to the whole side hustle thing, because when I was working, the job that I had, I worked for my family business, and it's probably more difficult than not a family business, because you've got emotion tied in, and you've got ego tied in,
Right.
and you've got, I mean, I started working at the antique store stripping furniture and busting up crates,
Right.
you know, and working back, unloading trucks. I still to this day unload trucks, but I wouldn't have it any other way, because you have to know the business from the ground up, in my opinion. So, but even as early as, let's see, when Elijah was born in 93, okay, I was making $33,000 a year. I had a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
I had a wife that did not work, stay-at-home mom, as by design.
Right.
And I had a baby.
Yeah.
And in a couple of years, I had another baby.
Right.
So very early on, I started doing a side hustle thing that I still to this day do. I would buy things and then sell them for more than I paid.
Right.
And so that was my advantage. I leveraged my advantage of being around collectibles and antiques my whole life, so I can spot them, you know, and I can tell when they're undervalued, you know.
Right.
I just buy them, you know.
Right.
And the antique business, in my case particularly, is really just the moving business. You're basically taking something from a place where people don't value it as much, you're moving it to a place where people value it more. It's the moving business,
right?
You know, and because good stuff will sell itself, you just have to get it in front of the right set of eyeballs,
right?
But I started doing that very early on. Hell, I was actually doing that, you know, in high school. You know, going to estate sales and buying stuff, running through an auction. But over time, that I would save money from those purchases and sales that I made. After a little while, I got up to like 15 grand, which is a lot of money. At least it was for me. It's half a year's salary or something.
Right.
And I bought my first rental house.
Yep.
In fact, it's in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
True story. Different times, but God, if I'd held on to that, I'd have done well, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
But I defined it. The point is, I had a fairly meager salary, you know, and I had a lot of expenses, and I was able to. See, I'm not into like clothes. I don't have to have the newest phone, all that stuff. Like none of that. I mean, I drive a pickup truck, you know, and I don't need, you know, I wear hiking, but I don't need fancy things, you know. I like nice things. Don't misunderstand.
No, I understand.
I like nice things as much as this guy, but I can't remember last time I went shopping for clothes.
Right.
I literally can't.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying that's the key, but I damn sure won't pay $10 for a evil Starbucks drink either.
Right.
Over time, you can rat hole money away. I don't care. You know, you don't have to spend. You know, the whole world, particularly in a big city like Atlanta or a big metropolitan area like Atlanta, the whole system is designed to extract every last dime out of your pocket.
Yeah.
You know, and they will. They're good at it. It's been going on for a while. I've often thought that if I were to do it over again, also, I might go to I would find a nice small town.
Yeah.
And buy a house. Like here in Metro Atlanta, as you know, you want to live in a good school district in Metro Atlanta, you ain't getting out for much less than $500,000, or you're not living in you're not getting the things you want.
No.
You got to drive 2 hours out in the country.
Yeah.
But my feeling is there are beautiful small towns all over this country. I mean, I drive around as like a hobby.
Yeah.
And see these charming small towns. There's a lot of them that are beat, don't live there. But there are charming small towns everywhere.
Yeah.
And you can buy a house in the, I don't even know, call it suburban, the outer ring of that town. 'Cause it's not really suburban because it's not really urban, but
Right.
you get the point. Subtown, and there must be a word for the houses around the small town.
Yeah.
For like 200,000.
Right.
Yard, nice house. You can practically walk to the restaurant. You know, it's not. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a big city.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to ask yourself, do you really even want all those bells and whistles? When's the last time you've been downtown?
I do everything I can to avoid going downtown. And the
So-
place that we live, I mean, while it's not super rural or like, we don't have a bunch of land, which would be super nice. Like land is wealth too.
Land is wealth, for sure.
But we have been able to find a great community of people, which is super important.
Well, no, y'all are in a sweet spot here. I bought my first rental house this neighborhood, not because I didn't like it. That was every dime I had.
Right.
That was every dime. I was checking the couch cushions every dime I had to make the down payment for that thing.
Yeah. It's just crazy that even, like, I think about trying to figure out how we could do that, to buy a rental property, and it's just, I think now you need like 20%, but 20% of like...
No, you're not thinking about it right. First of all, you don't think that can be your ultimate goal, but what you got to like kind of build up to it. It took me 5 years to make enough money to buy that house.
Right.
And and you got to remember, so that was in the 90s. Those are 90s dollars, which are probably 40% more buying power with a 90s dollar.
Right.
It was I think the house was $120,000. And I feel like I had to put down about 18, so 15%, something like that.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of money. It was more money then than it is now. In fact, So can you find the house you want? I don't know. How hard have you looked? Have you checked the tax lien sales? My friend who just passed away owns 60 houses. Randy, the one that was electrocuted in the boat, the second best friend I lost this year. He had 60. He would buy houses. I'm not advocating you guys do this, but I'm telling you it can be done. He was buying houses for somewhere between $5,000 and $25,000, and they'd be somewhere, somewhere. Yeah. And he'd go and he had a team of guys. They'd rehab it, whatever it needed, and put a tenant in it, a long-term tenant. Not even like he'd get a long-term tenant and deliberately give them a better deal just so they'll stay.
Right.
So they'd stay for years.
Yeah.
And so it can be done. It just depends on. Again, like I said before, you can do anything you want.
Absolutely.
The question is, how much do you want to do it?
Right.
And is it worth it to you to cut back on some things? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I like to travel. That was one of my things I wanted to do, and I know that's expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing. But I like to do it.
Right.
And I'm richer for it.
Right.
In the soul, and so that to me it was more important than making a bunch of money with another auction house.
Right.
Or 5 more auction houses. I wanted my time, and so it all depends on what really is your goal. Do you really want to run a property, or would you just like to maybe just start with just a piece of land out in the country, go out in Cherokee County or somewhere, just drive out to the suburbs and there's signs everywhere, for sale, for sale,
right,
and just buy one. Well, what are you gonna do with it? It doesn't matter. It's a piece of land. It's yours. It doesn't go away.
Right.
You drop a double wide on there and go camping. I don't know, grow a farm.
Yeah.
Just hold on to it.
Right.
It's better there than in the bank. Because the government will tell you, they don't even lie, that there's 8% inflation. I know that's what they tell you, but so let's just go with the numbers they're using, even though we know that's baloney. They'll tell you it's going to be worth 8% less this time next year. Okay, so why is anybody saving in cash?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Seriously, they literally tell you you're going to lose 8%.
Yeah.
And people still, I got $17,000 in the bank or whatever the number is. No, man, no. Buy gold, buy anything other than that. Hell, I buy antiques. They're not as liquid, but they're not losing value.
The thing with antiques, I mean, because I watched y'all's business. Your sister has an auction house now. Your son has an auction house. Your dad still has his. You do stuff through them, and it's just rich people always buy nice stuff, no matter what the economic situation is.
That's the wonderful thing about the business, because the thing is, there are a lot of people in this world connected to what Elijah and I call the money printer, right? Because debt is, like when you go buy that car, where your Josie bought that car, and you qualify for that loan, Nobody went down to the basement at the bank and grabbed 30 grand out and gave it to the car company. They just pushed a button and invented that.
Yeah.
And that's just pure fiat currency. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Literally invent the money and put it in the system.
Right.
And that's how our whole system is based on that. And it's really, we don't teach you about this, the whole, I won't get too deep in the weeds with the money magic thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had lost my train of thought. What were you talking about right before that?
How rich people are always able to buy stuff.
Yes, rich people. Okay, so I'm sorry.
Pocus is making a guest appearance in the podcast.
He's a really good dog.
I know.
So when you get a lot of people, and there's a lot of people with a lot of money still right now. In fact, probably, I think really the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, and the middle class is pulled. It's the same story over different generations. It's the same story has been told for 1,000 years. There will always be those rich people. And what do rich people want? They already got the money, right? They already got a nice house, right?
Right.
What do they need to have to prove to the rest of the world that they're a baller, that they made it? Well, they need a watch for starters.
Absolutely.
They need a car.
They need somebody else.
But anybody can go get a Rolex. If you got money, you go down to the store and get your Rolex. What they really like is things that are kind of like a little more rare, one-off things, interesting antiques that from a historical perspective, or from a design perspective, or any number, even as an investment perspective, for a decor perspective. It doesn't matter why.
Yeah.
But there's only one of these. So there's probably 100 of them in the world.
Yeah, sure.
But there's the only one for sale right here.
Right.
Yeah, and it's expensive,
but
if you can't afford it, then it's probably not for you.
The value is in the eye of the beholder, and for everything.
Right. Well, I get asked still to this day. Almost every day, if I see something, I'm out amongst the people. I used to get asked 20 times a day, "What's this worth?"
Yeah.
And my stock answer was whatever somebody will give you for it.
Right.
That's what it's worth.
Right.
My appraiser said, "Well, did the appraiser make an offer?"
Right.
Appraisals are for insurance companies. Things are worth what somebody will pay for them.
Right. Absolutely.
And the trick is getting them in front of the right eyes. And that was my sort of skill set coming out of Red Baron was promotions.
Yeah.
So I
cataloging.
used catalog research, and I would learn about the object, find something interesting about it, use that knowledge to fish with a little bit, because if I think it's interesting, doesn't mean everybody's going to think, but there's going to be somebody that thinks it, You just have to trust your own instinct with things like that. And, you try and fish with it a little bit. It's all about getting in front of the right eyes, And so you get in front of eyes, money's no object. It's not really about money. I want something that my neighbor can't have. He's rich just like me,
right?
But he doesn't have this,
right?
Right. And that's always going to be a thing. So there's always a market at the high end. Now, the danger of that is you may buy it and you'll probably have to pay, more than you wish for it too. And you have it. The danger is you may have to sit with it for a little while.
Right.
Like don't do that with your last $10,000. Buy. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that.
Right.
But if you can live with sitting with it for a little bit, it's only getting better.
Right.
I've watched things. And things are cyclical too over time. They got styles change, tastes change.
Mm-hmm.
But quality doesn't really change. It may not be in style right now to have this particular thing, but it doesn't make it any less good, because I can remember a time when it was sort of in style and it was bringing 10 grand.
Right.
It might won't bring 10 grand a day.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I don't want to sell it today. Then.
Right.
It's a kind of a buy and hold strategy. It's like Bitcoin, right?
Right.
Although you can touch it.
Yeah. And if you're buying gold, you buy the gold you can touch.
Of course, that doesn't make. I don't know why anybody wouldn't do that.
Or silver.
I mean, that's as easy a way to move money as anything. Really, I get down to moving money around. You can make it on your own, and you guys will end up with some sort of your own business. I firmly believe that. Whether it's media or snow cones, I don't know. I had a friend that he made a lot of money. He bought my buddies Adam and Dave. You probably met them there at our wedding. They bought a shaved ice machine just out of high school. Yeah. Yeah, on a cart.
Yeah.
They go to all the festivals in Atlanta, and there's always a festival.
Yeah, there's always a festival.
They'd mine it for $500 and go, and go back home. It's all cash in those days.
Yeah, right.
It's like, great, here's your half.
Right.
Let's clean the machine up, put it back in the garage, and
we'll do it next weekend.
Go do something next weekend. Yeah, did they get rich? No, but they had pretty decent cash flow for a couple 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And a pretty good job.
Right.
there's a million ways to make it. I get frustrated when I hear people say that you can't make it anymore, because I don't believe that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have, 100,000 people a day come over the border if that weren't true. There is opportunity here,
Right.
but do you want to do it? Do you want to pick the fruit, Stephen? Do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to do the jobs that sometimes you got to do? Dude, I started stripping furniture and breaking apart crates.
Yeah.
Did I want to do that?
Right.
Not so much.
Yeah. I think with people my age, it's scary that we've gotten to, and starting anything is scary, but
Yeah.
I have a cushy salary now that like just jumping out on my own without having any type of somewhat foundation laid is like too big of a risk.
But you're not ready yet.
Yeah,
But you're not ready yet.
Right.
But the fact that you're not supposed to be ready. At 28, I still work for Red Baron.
Yeah.
But I knew that day would come where I wouldn't.
Right.
And again, not yet. There will come the time.
Right.
And the fact that you're thinking about it tells me you're already on schedule. Don't worry about that. This is going to be hard. I'm never going to do it. Don't think about it like that. Start small.
Yeah.
Over time, it might build, and over time, you might just pivot.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I made as much money on real estate as I ever made on antiques.
Yeah.
Noodle that around for a second.
Right.
So.
That's what every rich person says to get into, though, is real estate.
Yeah, but it's a high barrier to entry. You got to have some cash.
Right.
So you start rat holing some cash,
Yeah.
or you never know, that Bitcoin might take off.
It's going to. I was talking to a friend that hit its all-time high a couple months ago.
What is it, like 70 now?
It's around 68 to 72. It keeps going up and down.
I feel like it's been settling in there for a couple months.
Yeah, but the halving, just happened, so there's less supply of it now. And I told someone, I was like, I think this time next year, this was a couple months ago, it will have doubled. So I think it'll be around 140,000. And they said, no way. And I don't know. I'm thinking it could
I wouldn't count it out, but I also know, I've lived long enough to see things disappear too. Not necessarily think that's going to happen, but, if it drops back down to 10 for an extended period of time, and the things crash, it's not good, you'd be kicking yourself for not selling it when it was at 80 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you what to do.
No,
I'm just saying, you never know. Like, I don't know how... In my opinion, if you got enough to put a down payment on a piece of property, I would rather have the property than the digital blips on the screen. But that's me. I'm old. I get. I understand. And Elijah came to me in 2016, 2015.
Yeah.
It was early. It was way and pushing it on me.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't. It's not for me. I get it.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Right.
Yeah, and imagine we bought it all back then.
I know.
It was nothing.
I know.
I think it was like literally under 1,000 or something.
I kicked myself. I had $4,000 in my savings account in 2020, right before the pandemic struck, and Bitcoin dropped to 3,800, and I was like, man, I should buy a whole one right now. I actually stood up in my office floor, and that I was working at, and I said, hey everyone, it's not going any lower. Everyone should buy some right now. And I didn't buy any.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know. Because you know what? There's a ring sitting on your daughter's finger that I spent that money on.
That's cool.
So,
that's cool.
But it's
a good investment too.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody can tell the future. My gut feeling is the dollar, and really the United States as we know it, probably is not going to be, by the time you're my age, I don't think that dollar's going to be what we think of it as now. Well, it's a debt note now. It's not even anything.
Right.
But it's already not going to be the world reserve currency, in my opinion, because you got Saudi Arabia with the BRICS, and they're the ones that selling the oil. That was the deal that Kissinger made in the early 70s, that all oil has gotten closed in dollars.
Yeah.
That's what propped up our value of dollars and allowed us to have cheap labor and cheap products from China and export debt with these phony bills.
Yeah.
And that's what allowed... in some respects, it's kind of unearned wealth. We talk about us being the richest country in the world. You're rich in what?
We don't have any natural resources
Well, we do. We won't let ourselves use them. This place is full of natural resources.
Right.
There's gold right here in this river right here.
Yeah.
But what we don't have is industry. And even in my lifetime, there were literal factories here in Atlanta. It's hard to believe, but there were. There's a Kodak factory. In fact, the building just burned down on Ponce. Peachtree Industrial Boulevard was called Peachtree Industrial Boulevard
Yeah, right.
Because there was
industrial-
industry
right,
there.
Right,
No kidding.
right.
We don't make anything, and that's been the shame. That they outsourced all our jobs. Started in the '90s with the NAFTA, and it's almost like it was one horrible. I hate to think that it was planned, but God, it sure seems that way. They just got rid of everything that we don't make anything.
Yeah,
We don't make anything.
yeah,
And we're not allowed to dig our own, stuff.
right.
All we make is debt.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. I hate that for my country. I'm a patriotic guy, or I have been. Now,
Yeah,
I don't really like the people that run it. That goes irrespective of party. I think they're all criminals.
Yeah.
I think they're all working for a hidden hand a little higher up, and or lower down, as the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a patriotic guy. I mean, I hate to see what's.
Yeah.
And you can drive through America too. I talked about the nice small towns. There's also some that are just dying on the vine or already dead. It's sad. And they used to have they used to make washing machines there, and everybody worked there. Or there's a railroad town, or just any number of things. Because again, there's a million ways to make it.
Yeah.
And back in those days, the regulations were off. The government almost it's hard to even imagine now. I felt like. Maybe I'm romanticized it, but it felt like the government worked to help the people.
Yeah, right.
Like now I feel like they're
Shocking.
coming at us from all directions.
Yeah,
It's the poison food, the poison water, the stuff in the skies, the constant psyops on the TV. I mean, everything.
mm-hmm.
They're coming at us a million attack vectors.
Yeah,
But again, as I said before, try as they might, my lives kick ass. So
Yeah.
you don't have to buy in.
right. Yeah,
But it saddens me that that's what our country has become. And you start to even define what is country, what is nation. Start looking these things up, and the word nation doesn't pertain to land, real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have the Auburn, the War Eagle Nation,
Mm-hmm.
and that constitutes legally, in Black's Law Dictionary, a group of people that agree on some common things. I think
Mhm.
that can be called a nation. I used to call my show fans Auction Kings Nation all the time.
Yeah.
But what's become of what we know of as our country, I think we were sold a bill of goods.
Yeah.
I don't. Travel around, and there's a lot of really nice places in this world. This is not the only one.
Yeah.
I've got news, and there shouldn't be any poor people here since they're making free money anyway, and they shouldn't tax us either because that's just punitive.
Yeah, yeah,
If they've proven to us that they can just push a button and make it happen and send $60 gazillion to Ukraine or Israel, why do they need my $10,000 this year?
Right.
It's punitive.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I keep paying them. Anyway, it's a weird world we live in. But again, it's all consent. I haven't turned the TV on. Well, I told you. I mean, we quit watching TV in 2020. In fact, I feel like Auction Kings caught the tail end of TV.
Yeah.
Like when that show first aired in 2010, I had people calling me that I hadn't talked to in years. Oh my God, I saw you, and I'm like. Now think about a random show airs on Discovery Channel. Who's seeing it?
Yeah. Who watches Discovery Channel?
The people that watch it, because they still come up to me on the street sometimes,
Yeah.
they're not the demographic the advertisers want.
Right.
I don't know who's watching TV.
Right.
There's great content on YouTube, and it's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not full of propaganda.
Right.
And you
People
can
living
watch
their lives.
whatever you want. Like
Yeah.
I'm really into hidden history and architecture and place history, things that happened, say right around here 100 years ago. You know the name of that mountain right there? That's right there. You see it when you drive down Upper Ross Road?
No.
Blackjack Mountain?
Oh no.
Yeah, it's called Blackjack Mountain.
Yeah.
There's some lore associated with it regarding the natives as sacred sites. There's some lore associated regarding bootleggers. All this happened, and we think of it as East Cobb. It's suburban East Cobb. It's somewhere between Marietta and Atlanta.
Yeah.
And but a lot of things happened here that were before it became neighborhoods, and that's the kind of thing I'm fascinated with. And so you can drill down with the YouTube or the Rumble or any of them really, and just get exactly what you want. There's such talented content creators out there. It's one. Then you go back and you look at this crap. Now look, I had a television show. We had. On site at the auction gallery every day, 25 people. Okay, that's everything from the sound guy to the wire guy to the two producers to the cast to the whatever you call those people, like grip. So all the people, there's always people milling about and handing me papers and stuff. There's like a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then on auction day, they brought in another 10, extra cameras.
Right.
Okay, that's just in Atlanta. Then they sent it to LA for pre-production, and they edit it and cut it in and drop the music in, and then they sent it to another place in LA to like fine tune it because it's got to be 18 minutes. No, it's gonna be 22 minutes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 22 minutes. So you zip down 3-story arcs, just get it right down.
Yeah.
Another 20 people working on it there.
Yeah.
The average cost for a 30-minute reality TV show in the 20 teens, which is an area that I would have the only knowledge that I would have.
Yeah.
The average price was about $300,000 for an 18-minute show or 22-minute show.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. And all these people working on it, and I'm not saying my show was entertaining, whatever, it's just a show.
Yeah.
And then you turn on YouTube and you follow a guy that you can't wait till every Saturday night at midnight he drops a new video.
Yeah.
And it's 30 minutes and he shows me interesting stuff with cool pictures.
Right.
And he's just a guy.
Right.
And it's way better. So
yeah.
That's my
I know. I love YouTube. And
yeah.
The only time we just watch we use Netflix to watch some stupid show it's just mindless. That's like when it gets too political or too you can't get around it. Yeah, you can't. But when it does, we're like, all right, well, let's find a new show.
And that's a shame because drama is really just a form of literature, and it's integrated in sort of the human experience, human life. I think drama is something, comedy or tragedy, is something that we're kind of almost hardwired to find interesting.
Yeah, right.
Because in every fiction there is fact. I mean, you read any book, and there's some basis of fact in there.
Right.
It might be they might have made the names up and the characters, but there's still it's about something. And so we're hardwired to like that. Obviously, it's been literature's been a thing forever, the whole entirety of human existence.
Yeah.
And yet they've so perverted it with these messages. I mean, people catch on. The numbers across the board are way down on network TV and on Hollywood movies and all. Do you know why they call it Hollywood?
No.
You know?
No.
Do you know what kind of you're familiar with like Wicca and magic and dark arts?
Yeah.
You familiar with wands?
Yeah.
Do you know what the most powerful wands were made of?
Hollywood. Okay.
They cast spells.
Yeah.
Seriously. Watch Mickey do it at the beginning of every show.
Yeah.
It's spell casting, man. And they've been doing it to us for a long time.
Yeah.
Be aware of it. I mean, I'm not saying be a hermit and don't, but I can't remember last time I went to the movies. Like, I mean, I don't want to see that crap.
Yeah.
And network TV, even if you can get past the 10 minutes out of 30 for commercials, even if you get past that, the stuff that's on isn't worthy of my attention.
It's not good.
It's not worthy of my attention. I mean, it's not. I don't laugh.
Yeah.
I don't get emotional. There's nothing on it that's worthy of my attention. It'd be like, I don't know, the equivalent of reading comic books instead of literature. It's like, why? I don't want this crap. I don't want any of this.
Right.
And I don't even want the flicker rate that changed in the Obama administration. For God knows why. Same reason they changed the tuning of A from 440 to from 432 to 430 hertz. 440 hertz. It's just a multi-pronged attack. So I don't watch it, Steven. I don't watch any of it.
We don't watch TV either.
Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, if we do, it's on Netflix, and it's old. We watch the older stuff because it's actually it's funnier. There was in the history of that medium. There's been some solid stuff. Yeah.
Great. I can remember movies when I was in high school that everybody would go see, like Caddyshack and stuff. Like they were funny.
Yeah, right.
Like we laughed.
Right.
We watch it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah. Right.
I can't think of anything, and I think the same could be said, and without sounding too much like old man yells at cloud, I think the same could be said for music, popular, television, movies, really anything. I mean, how about architecture? Get a good look at the buildings we build.
It's almost like the Soviet, it just got bland.
Because
it's just
there's a concept called genius loci, and it was used back in the Greek and Roman days, and all the way through in this country. When you would build the public buildings, you notice if you go to any small town, the county courthouse on the town square, it's a big, beautiful, not in Marietta, they tore ours down, but, in other towns, big, beautiful courthouse, clock tower, bronze bells, and the square that goes around, and maybe we have a fountain or a memorial. Genius loci, it was the concept that you would elevate the spirit of your citizenry with good architecture, harmonious architecture, right? Like that follows sacred geometry and the principles of balance and perspective and all that stuff. And you'd be proud to be a citizen. You can go to Washington D.C. right now, walk down the mall, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
I'm proud to be an American. Look at this thing. It literally, and Plato wrote about it, it makes good citizens.
Yeah.
You want, and then go get a good look at any government building that's been built in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
It's a box with acoustic ceiling tiles and stacked cinder blocks.
Yeah.
And horrid, everything. Just awful. And the same can go for any school. They used to build high schools in this country for the same reason. They look like castles. I can show you pictures of old early 20th century high schools.
Yeah.
They look like castles, and because again, you're molding the minds and teaching them, how to be a good citizen. This is back again when I thought that our government probably worked for the people rather than against the people. I don't know what it's going to take to change it. I'm not even the person to even want to change it. I know how I can protect myself within that framework.
Yeah.
I tune it all out.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
I haven't watched the news or anything since COVID. And I guarantee you if I turned it back on right now, I'm aware of things going on, don't misunderstand. I do stay aware, but I don't care, because there's always going to be horror in this world.
Yeah.
A lot of it's perpetrated by my own government. So I can't go down that rabbit hole. I don't care. I'm sorry, but I have a family, I have a wife, I have a dog. I don't want to worry about that.
Right.
And I don't want to sound like callous, but you can turn the TV off and then turn it on in 5 years from now. Like write down some of the stuff, some of the big stories in the news.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I know, right? But if you did, file a piece of paper away, come back in 5 years, turn the TV on, they'll still be bitching about it.
Right.
It's the same stuff.
Right.
Republicans and Democrats. Can you believe what the left did? And Trump said this. It's all stupid. It's all theater.
Yeah.
It's all theater designed to get your attention away from the real crime, which is this elite parasitic class looting this country.
Yeah, they're taking all of our rights, right
after my
Yeah.
I can't believe the way everybody. I was so disgusted. I was shocked because I would have thought it would have gone differently. I didn't hardly wear a mask. I get videos of me walking through the Atlanta airport and the Denver airport and the Miami airport, no mask. I just never put one on. But the way everybody bent the knee to that shit, that obvious psyop, unbelievable. But it's sad. But it is. People are. What America used to have, and I know this is in my lifetime, a sort of go it alone, can do spirit. It was baked in my actual education.
Yeah.
Like I remember, one nation under God and all that, and I don't think they bake it in anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're a bunch of wusses.
Yeah.
And it's sad. You know?
That's something that it's been on my heart a lot recently. Is that myself included, a lot of people my age. Men in the church, we're all just watered down men.
Yeah.
So something that you've started doing more recently that I love and want to do myself is you're working with your hands more. You're building things in your backyard, and it goes back to that quote with the Native Americans is send us 12 of your men and we'll train them how to hunt. We'll train them all these things, and we'll send them back as men.
Dude, as men, we're hardwired to build things and get things, acquire things, kill things, for food, protect things. That's how we're built.
Yeah.
So, and I spent a majority of my life, especially when I was a young guy, I didn't want to go in the antique business because I wanted to be cerebral. I wanted to be an English teacher and a writer.
Yeah.
Whatever. And but then I got in the antique business. Once I rose up from the level of stripping furniture and busting up crates, I went into doing research and promotions, behind a computer. And I wasn't, I'd still unload a truck from time to time, but I didn't, and then I started my own business, and you're busy doing everything then,
Right.
But now at this point in my life, being the empty nester, and I've discovered the wonderful therapeutic nature of working with one's hands. I've taught myself some carpentry. I've had a friend that was a carpenter and taught me a lot of stuff. And sometimes just trial and error. And I love it. I will sit there. I'm going to go home today. After I leave here, I'm going to go in my garage and work on something with my hands.
Yeah.
The hands are got calluses all over, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
There's something almost unquantifiably satisfying about work.
Yeah.
And so in the antique business, everything you buy by definition is used goods.
Right.
used goods by definition have some, blemishes or problems.
Right.
And so I just kind of work on everything, and I've, whether it's just replacing washers or whatever, it could be anything, polishing something, fashioning a piece that is long missing for 50 years, 75 years, but I got a piece that's kind of like it. If I bend it right, file it down, I can make it be that piece, and it will work, and it's very, 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 very satisfying. And I think it's like working out. I mean, it's a lot like working out. Frankly, I bet I, get kind of in sweat 10 times a day. Not working out, just working.
Right. Just working with your hands.
Working my hands. Picking something up, moving and lifting it.
There's that saying that like I don't even know how much it still applies to people, but like people used to talk about having dad strength.
Right.
It's like you're just a dad. Like you don't look like you could bench 225 pounds, but like all the stuff you do throughout your day, throughout your life, it just makes you strong.
Yeah. Well, we don't do a lot of manufacturing in this country. I mean, we do. Well, not a lot. We don't do a lot of manual labor in this country. Well, I mean, we do, but it's not done by people that look like you and me. Right. You know what I'm saying? That it's done by mostly Hispanics. Yeah. And God bless them. I love their work ethic, man. I wish I went to Walton High School and saw a bunch of boys with that kind of work ethic. Right. Man. And I don't know, somehow I got soft, but you don't have to buy into that either. You're not soft. You're now, what's that, 75 hard challenge?
Yeah.
That's badass, man. And so
because I want to be a stronger man.
Good.
And so
when I was growing up, everybody wanted to be that.
Yeah, I know.
That was like the thing. We'd watch the movies and Tarzan or whatever, Chuck Norris, anything, and those were the heroes. And again, that's an archetype that is, I think, good for a man to aspire to. Yeah. Flawed but strong. Right. And that's okay. Yeah. Because everybody's flawed. Yeah. And I don't know that kids even aspire to be strong anymore. I mean, we used to go to the gym. My God, we would go teach ourselves how to slalom ski, which I don't even think anybody does anymore. It's getting up on the water on one ski. Yeah. And I don't know if does anybody still ski?
People do.
Everybody's on wakeboards that are this wide. Try getting up on a ski that's 6.5 inches wide, tied to a boat. Yeah. One ski, not two skis. One ski.
I know people that
you best have some upper body strength and some core. Right. And maybe a set of balls, and not get discouraged when you fall and have a gallon of water shoved up your nose. Right. Tough it out.
I knew some people that barefoot skied.
That's badass too. Yeah. I've never barefoot skied. Believe it or not, my dad used to barefoot ski.
Really?
He was kind of athletic back in his day. Yeah. I can't remember. So they got married. My mom was 18 when she got pregnant. Yeah. And 19 when she had me. So she's only 19 years older than I am. Mm-hmm. So they were young, and I was there because we all kind of basically grew up together. I have a wholly different set of memories than, say, my sister 5 years to the day later. Right. Because it was different. Yeah. And it's not said better or worse. It's just different. Yeah. I don't know why I was off on that tangent. The barefoot skiing. So and so it was important to us. To be, we would have push-up challenges. Yeah. Well, let's transition to fitness though, because let's transition.
You've been super active your whole life. Yeah. And you've run the New York Marathon. Is that your biggest fitness accomplishment?
Honestly, no. Okay. No, but it was a big one. There's a story behind that. So what's the question?
Well, I guess I was talking about the marathon because that's cool. Okay. I've never run a marathon. I have no.
Well, I had always wanted to. I
do not want to do that. So
I did not. I've always been active. I've been working out regularly since I was 17 years old. Yeah. With very little exception, in some form or fashion. Right. Like today, I ran 5 miles and did some pull-ups. Yeah. When I get home, I'm going to work in the garage, which, as I told you, is still some degree of work. So I constantly move. Part of it is because I was told when I was a young age I'm hyperactive or something. I have a hard time saying, so I have to do something. Well, I can't just sit here. Right. And
I'm proud of you for sitting.
I know. Listen, it's only because I love you. Because it's hard for me. It's always been hard for me to sit still, and that's fine. So I do things, and I enjoy. And again, I was growing up in a time. Me and my friends would have competitions to see who was strongest, or who could climb the tree fastest, or who could run the fastest, jump the farthest. Right. That was just part of growing up. Right. So of course I'm going to work out so I get stronger. Right. I mean, that doesn't even make sense to not exercise. part B to that is the moment you quit moving is the moment you're throwing the towel.
Absolutely.
Like, you just keep doing it.
Do you stretch? Or
I used to, no. The short answer is no. I have done, we used to do yoga when we were training for the marathon.
Okay.
I did some hot yoga on the regular.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked it. I do like the hot yoga. The place closed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a really great stretcher. I can do some things. Like I can still stretch, but I'm not good with, I don't really like to stretch.
I know, but the reason I ask is because everything that I'm reading now, people your age and older talks about how important it is to stretch, and how people my age should just go ahead and start making it a routine so that we can continue.
I would disagree with that because I've been told that my whole life, and do these people that tell you that, I feel like I look pretty young for my age.
Yes.
So I think you need to
wondering.
stretch. I really don't. I think stretching's overrated. That's my honest opinion. You're going to get blown up with comments about what this idiot you had on your show. But I don't care because I don't stretch. Yeah. I was doing the hot yoga for a period of time because we were running so much. My calves were like separating from the bone ligament. It hurt, and I had to stretch them out. Yeah. And I literally I'd wake up in the morning and not be able to walk.
Yeah.
But
well, that's why stretching is important.
Yeah, for that. Yeah. But my day to day, I don't stretch. Now I hang.
Yeah, but that's some type of stretching.
Okay, so I do that.
Yeah. I mean, I stretch out my back muscles.
Oh, and I like, okay, so it depends on what you call that stretch. Like, I'm always doing,
No, that stuff, I mean, I stretch my hamstrings out because they get tight.
Okay, I stretch.
Yeah.
But I don't touch my toes very often.
Okay. Well, I mean, you just stand up and I'll do this every once in a while because, I mean, it's so tight back here. And so
I don't really do that, but I definitely, if we're going to count that as stretching,
that's totally stretching. That's
I stretch.
Some type of pliability.
Oh, well,
making sure that your
they
body
won't have
can
to say
still
nasty
move.
things about me then. That's cool because if we're counting that, I think you meant like, I don't know, doing yoga or something.
No. I mean, I spend before I work out every morning. There's a machine at the gym that goes through 8 different type of exercises to hit major muscle groups, and I spend 10 minutes on it, and I have never felt better. My body. So,
did you take turmeric?
I mean, we get all of our supplements through the meat that we're eating now.
It's like nature's anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
All pain is due to inflammation. All pain is due to inflammation. So that helps if you get a particularly hard workout in, to help with the muscle healing. It does.
We take magnesium, which
magnesium's good. So is potassium. Right out of the banana.
I eat so many bananas.
Bananas are good for you, man.
Yeah.
So back to the fitness goal. So I always wanted to run a marathon. I did not get into running until I met Linda. She gave me running. Right. Now I ran sometimes. In fact, that's the reason I moved where I live before I even like. It's nice to run on the jogging trail, but I wouldn't call myself a runner. I would, I go for 2-3 miles or something. And I met her, and when I met her, and she didn't take it out. She just got a stack like that in her closet of all her triathlon medals. Yeah. And like a lot of them, like flip through them, like many. Yeah. And so she gave me running. She got me into running, and I owe her a debt of gratitude for that because I really, really, really love running. Yeah. Like running's my favorite thing because it doesn't require anything other than a pair of shoes and some shorts. Right. Biking and skiing and kayaking and everything else, you got to have gear. Right. You just throw on some shorts and some running shoes and. You don't even have to go anywhere. You're already there. Just start running.
Technically, you don't need either of those things either.
Right. No, I know that. That's a different discussion for another time. But yes, I copy that. So I got into running with her, and now that would have probably been in like 2010. Yeah. And I learned that I could run farther than I thought I could. Yeah. Like we'd go for runs, and to me, a long run would have been down to the end and back, which is 3 miles. Yeah. That's a long run, which is fine, right? Yeah. We go running. I go run with her, and I would get so insanely tired. And then she taught me some breathing techniques. Yeah. And let me tell you about running. A lot of it's up here. Oh yeah. If you can run 3 miles, you can run 6 miles. It's a true story because you just be like. But I did that. Okay, I can do that again.
Then you get to 6 if you can run 6. Yeah, you can.
That's how it goes. And so you start. But once you get to 6, and you're like, I don't know, your first 10K or something. Yeah. And then you're like kind of like, you feel pretty good about that, And you're looking around, the other people running, they're all pretty fit. I ran with all them. That's cool, Yeah. And then you start to get addicted to it because the endorphins release just like anything, and you like look forward to it because for me, it was also during the time where I became a TV personality, for lack of a better term, right? And like a lot of people needed a lot of things from me constantly.
Yeah.
When I was running,
no one needed anything.
Well,
I didn't
answer the phone.
Right.
I was on a run.
Right.
You know, I didn't used to bring my phone on runs. That meant I was going for a run.
Right.
See ya.
Right.
And it became, and I used the same thing at the gym as well. But at the gym, I often would put headphones in, and then they'd call, and I'd have to decide whether I decline it or not. But on a run,
you just didn't have
didn't bring the phone.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hands are tied. Can't help you.
Right.
And so she gave me that, like I say, and then so let's see, and I always have been, a proponent of exercise. Like I said, you gotta keep moving. I want to be strong. I want to be fit. There's not really an option to not. So then, as you get older, and you're like, well, I ran a half marathon, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so that's 13 miles, and you look back and you say to yourself, 13 miles is a long damn way. So you start to drive around, you clock it in your car. You're like, wow. So if you're here, so I ran all that.
Yeah, right.
That's 13 miles, a long way.
Yeah.
And but still, I was so hurt on the calves and Achilles that I just didn't think it was in reach. I still wanted to do it. So Lynn and I started doing some I say crazy. It's not crazy. I was just like active goal things. Like we rode one year her birthday, and I said. Anywhere you want to go, just say it. Well, I take it. It's your birthday. This is my present to you. What do you want to do? I don't care. Say it. She goes, I want to ride our bikes to Alabama.
On the Silver Comet?
Silver Comet Trail.
Nice.
And I'm like, really? That's your pick?
Huh?
Okay. So we rode our bikes. 70 miles later.
Yeah.
It's a long way, and I ain't got a lot of fat on my ass, and it hurt.
Yeah.
I never heard that. That might have been my biggest, because it wasn't just that. Because you got there, and it's not like you get there and there's a resort or fanfare. There's a trailer park and a housing project and a rat bag motel between them.
Yeah.
That's where we stayed.
Yeah.
And we ate dinner at McDonald's, which is the only place there. And then we slept. I remember pushed the dresser up against the door. There was gunfire outside that night. There was a fight outside.
Yeah.
And we of course brought our bikes inside, $5,000 bikes.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not leaving those things outside.
Right.
And we got up next morning. I was walking like
and you got to ride back.
we gotta ride 70 miles back. Oh my God! Now that may have been the most challenging physical thing but I did it and I felt good about it.
Yeah.
And she gave me biking too. Of course, I can ride a bike. I could always ride bikes when I was 5 years old.
Right.
But riding a road bike, with clip-ins and for distance, and we would go 40, 50 miles fairly regularly. 30, 40 miles, let's say.
Yeah.
Fairly regular. I've been on several bike tours, and then. So that was another challenging one. The other challenging one that came to mind when you asked me if the marathon was the most, and I'll circle back to the marathon. Pursuant to those sort of challenging things, you did a 14er out in Colorado. It's a 14,000 foot peak. There's there's 17 of them in the country, and it's a thing to go do them. And that was very challenging, considering we ran out of water 4 hours before the end of the hike.
That's tough.
Yeah, during COVID, we were borrowing people's camelbacks.
Oh man.
I felt we were healthy enough. That was hard, but the real hard one was we went to the Grand Canyon, and you're not supposed to do this. Big signs.
Yeah.
If you go down, you're supposed to camp down there.
Yeah.
You pass the sign, you pass here. They lose 20 people a year, but we knew we'd make it, and we did because we were tip-top shape.
Yep.
So we just blew right on past it.
Yeah.
I turned around, came back up, also ran out of water despite the fact that we carried so much, but we found a little, the Indian Spring Oasis thing, so we were able to get that. And my last little power bar, and a squirrel stole it. I smacked the crap out of him. He's a fat squirrel. He's been a thief his whole life.
Yeah.
And then, but toward the end of that was about 12 hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And in the desert, it's hot.
Yeah.
And it's the desert. It's a high desert.
Right.
In the morning when we started, it was below freezing.
Yep.
By 2 p.m., it's 90. By 3 p.m., it's like 95, 100.
Yeah.
And we're not to the top yet.
Right.
But we did make it, and that was probably as hard as anything I've ever
Okay.
done. We did it down and back, and
Josie and I also did the Grand Canyon. We did not go all the way down to the back, but I always thought I thought it was crazy how much of a difference in the temperature on the surface compared to even like 10 feet into
Yeah.
the canyon.
It's a neat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Everything's different. The layers,
Yeah.
the rocks look different. Everything's different.
It was that's a moving experience.
It really is.
Seeing the Grand Canyon.
And you're not allowed to see 80% of it. There's
Yeah.
caves and caverns up in there that were documented, found by a guy working for the Smithsonian.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that one of the mountains is called the Isis Temple. There's all kinds of pagan stuff carved in there. There's pictures. I mean, they want to not tell you that. And again, you're not allowed to go there. But
who's stopping you?
The federal government. They'll arrest you. Not only that, it was the first national park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, follow me on this.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Roosevelt founded a national park, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was in early 1900s, about 10 years before the Federal Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this land is our land. We, the federal government, we, the United States. Right?
Yeah.
Do you know where the largest gold reserves in the world are?
Somewhere out there.
Right there.
Yeah.
True story. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Fact check me. It's there. So basically, this is our gold. Nobody's coming in here anymore.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably some objects and or places that would turn conventional narrative history on its ear, because I don't think we've been told the whole story about what was here before. I don't think it was a bunch of Indians in loincloths. I really don't. There's too much infrastructure, and that's a whole different podcast. We can get going down that hidden history podcast. You'll have me here for 3 days. So anyway, back to I'm circling back.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna circle back and I'll tie it all together.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I'm a runner. We did a couple of half marathons. I enjoy running 3-4 days a week at this point, and maybe even probably 4. Like regularly, week after week after week. I love it. And in about 2017, I was routine blood test. I was diagnosed with freaking prostate cancer. So, which is like, what? That's not cool. And anyway, so I went all over the world trying to figure out what to do. And I had an appointment at Duke, had an appointment at MD Anderson, had an appointment in Costa Rica, to do non-FDA treatment. And ended up finding a doctor that pioneered this robotic process in Roswell. So like, okay, that seems. I would have gone to any of those places. I would have done anything.
Right.
He had a whole wing at the hospital, and like there were guys. Where are you from? Salt Lake City. And,
Oh wow.
I'm from Canada. Where are you from? I was like, well,
up the street.
right over there. I just lucked out.
Yeah.
And I got in, and then I became friendly with him. It turns out he was kind of a show fan, and he's a nice guy. Like he's a super guy. In fact, if you ever need a urologist, you call me. I'll cook. Yeah, he's hard to. You can't get in. He's like, he literally pioneered the robotic surgery. He might as well be like. So here's the operating room. He's down there, around the corner, down the hall, working on this machine.
Oh yeah.
And it's cutting you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Anyway, so I became friends with him, and we started talking, and he was and I felt, he in my mind saved me, right? So I owed him a debt, in a very real sense of the term, and he was starting to get his charity off the ground, Prostaware is what it's called, basically, with the notion of getting men to, because the system doesn't really care. When I was first diagnosed, the system said, well, let's just wait and see.
Yeah.
Because they won't pay for your genetic testing, and they don't really give a darn about you, right? So I paid out of my pocket and had the genetic testing done in San Diego. It was the only lab that would do it, and learned that this is not the good kind to just wait and see. And so that was that really started my journey against mainstream medicine. Because they don't really, wait and see. I swear to God, that was what it said. They actually had a term for it. It's called watchful waiting. And if you know me, I don't know how you are, but I can assume. But if you know me, can you imagine what was going on in my head? I know it's there.
Right.
I've been told by a lot, it's there.
Right.
And we're just supposed to just disregard it.
Right.
Just go on about your life.
Right.
No. Not if I ever want to sleep again.
Right.
Or anything.
Right.
And so I had that done, and successfully, I'm fine. Everything's good. And I decided after that it was a pretty good time to, it was like a good motivation thing.
Yeah.
Time to start knocking that thing off the bucket list.
Right.
Or whatever, anything else off the bucket list. So we started training. I remember I started training when all I was allowed to do was walk, because I couldn't do anything but walk for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, right.
actually for a couple weeks I wasn't even supposed to do much walking.
Right.
I worked up to walking. I would go out for a walk. I walk around the woods, back by the park, and walk 30 minutes, walk for an hour, for an hour and a half. Finally get the okay to run.
Yeah.
And I was in fairly good shape. I was, I think, pretty good shape actually. So it didn't take me long to get back up to speed.
Yeah.
And then Linda trained me because she had run a couple before. And when I first told her I wanted to do it, she was like, I saw a look in her face because it's a commitment.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like this 70 thing. Because it's commitment. You're committing. I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's raining.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't feel good.
Yeah.
You have to train because
Right.
or else you ain't gonna finish the race.
Right.
And if that's what you want to do is finish that race, then that's the commitment you make. And she knew that, and because she'd done one, she'd done two before,
Yeah.
and she knew. So she kind of looked at me like, you sure? But she was like, yeah, of course, let's do it.
Yeah.
So she was all in, and then I got the idea to go back because you can't just decide you want to run the New York Marathon.
Do you have to qualify?
You have to either A, qualify, or B, it's like a lottery. Like you just can't decide you want to run.
Oh, okay.
Or C,
Yeah.
get a deal with charity.
Ah.
So here we go. I still have the memory of being a public figure, so to speak. And my doctor just started a charity. And so I approached him. I actually approached him and another friend of mine that runs children's health, Children's Wish International.
Okay.
She's another friend of mine, old customer of mine. And she actually said she would do it too. But I had been in close contact with my doctor and he just saved my life, so I felt like he was the way to go.
Yeah.
And I said, look, man, let's do this. We'll do a fundraiser. We'll do like a charity auction event.
Yeah, I was there. It was
I know. But the rest of your audience wasn't there.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a nice event. Like
it was a nice event. We
Yeah.
slapped that thing together and made a bunch of money.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then he, because he has all the 501c3 paperwork
Yeah.
and all that, and that's what they require. And then Paul Brown's running for prosecutor, and bam!
That's so
so
cool.
there I am.
Yeah.
And this is the poignant moment. See,
Yeah.
it happens. Again, I recovered from cancer. Trained for several months of rain and shine,
Yeah.
like hardcore.
Yeah.
Rain and shine. You're standing there with 100,000 other people in New York. Beautiful fall day.
Yeah.
It's my 53rd birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm running across the Brooklyn Bridge, or the Verrazano Narrows Bridge,
Yeah.
on my 53rd birthday, recovered from cancer,
Yeah.
and they're blaring, dun, 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 start spreading the news.
Yeah.
It was so, it was like emotional. Like I was crying. It was it was awesome. And you're running, and like, it wasn't even that hard because I was like so pumped. We were 15 miles through, and I was still like,
Yeah. You got some adrenaline.
Yeah.
A lot of adrenaline.
And then at the end, you do get good and tired. I bet that last 4 or 5 miles, but that's all in Central Park because you go through all 5 boroughs and you come up from North Manhattan through Harlem, and then you're in the park.
Yeah.
And the park is big. I don't know if you've ever been to
I've
New
never
York.
been to New York.
You guys need to go to New York.
Yeah.
New York's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to live there, but everybody should see it.
Yeah.
But then streets are lined with people cheering you on,
That's cool.
and it just carries you in. It's so, I'm telling you, I was crying. I'm about to cry right now. It was so intense and like invigorating and liberating, satisfying and vindicating and just everything it had gone through. And now I just ran a marathon on my 53rd birthday.
Yeah, that's cool.
Bam.
Yeah.
So I felt good about it.
And the New York Marathon.
The New York Marathon at that.
It's
yes.
a prestigious marathon.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the New York Marathon at that. I could have just run, I don't know,
in Atlanta,
Savannah or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
But no, I wanted to do New York, and we did.
Yeah.
And we had a great time, and that's one of the highlights of my life, man.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It was awesome, man.
What's your favorite place you've traveled to? Because you mentioned that you love to travel, and you've been all over the world. So do you have one that's like off the top of your head?
I mean, there's 2 different answers on that. One of them I choose to spend most of my time at because I like the way it feels there.
Right.
But as far as like a more exotic or faraway vacation, I'm actually getting ready to go again for my own second time. Costa Rica is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's your favorite.
I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. It's my process.
Yeah.
Thinking out loud. I'm trying to think. I mean, the France last summer
Yeah.
was like I'm not talking about Paris, which is cool too.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like out in the country. We drove like 1,800 miles.
You were there for
3 weeks. Followed the tour around.
Oh yeah.
Town to town to town to town. Cute little European town. Cute little European town.
Yeah.
And unbelievably amazing, and that was great. So I mean, but everybody would say France, but
Yeah.
I think someplace that would be. And I really haven't been. I mean, I've been to places. I've been to Japan.
Yeah.
I've been to several places in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Canada. I've been to the Caribbean. Lots in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And I've been probably most states.
Yeah.
I've been to most states. I think this country is highly. I'll tell you what, and you're gonna think I'm nuts for saying this, but I don't think I was more impressed in anywhere that I've been. And now take out the government or the industry or whatever you hear about it.
Yeah.
But the state of California.
Yeah.
Is the most amazing place.
I want to go.
Dude, they got in the southern part of the state, the oil comes out of the ground.
Yeah.
Just comes out. They call them tar pits, but it's oil.
Yeah.
And like the high school has got one of those things that pumping oil. Everybody's got like people's yards have those things.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, but you see them around.
Yeah.
And then you go up north. As soon as you get north of LA, you get central coast of California. And there is no more beautiful country in the world. You've got redwood trees bigger than this room on cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And then you look down, it's like this beautiful secluded crescent beach, and it's got like seals on it or something, it's just, and then the farther north you go, it just gets more pretty.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievably beautiful. So, I mean, I don't need to be in the cities, but I don't need to be in this city. I mean, Georgia's beautiful too, but California is something special, man.
I want to drive it up.
We drove up the one on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
We rented a car in Santa Monica, so we didn't start at the very bottom. We started, south of LA, pretty close. And we drove up that car commercial road that winds all the way up.
Yeah.
How they even built that, when they say they built it, with the engineering infrastructure that would have taken to build it, I have my doubts on that too. I do.
Yeah.
Because California didn't become a state till 1850, and anyway, again, don't get me started on the history, because
I know. We talk about it all the time.
I will not stop.
Yeah.
Anyway, so California. So that's my answer.
That's really cool.
It's really cool. It's worth going to see. I mean, you got to fly into one of the cities, I guess, but you don't have to stay there.
Yeah, it's hard for, I guess, Josie and myself sometimes to justify. It takes $1,000 to fly to California.
I get that.
We can fly to Europe for the same price.
Yeah, no, but I didn't go to California. I was 40 something.
Yeah.
You got time?
Yeah, I know.
Europe is great. I mean, again, we just spent 3 weeks there and I love Europe. Like we went to Spain and France, so I went to 2 different countries.
Yeah, that's cool.
Spain is amazing. Oh my gosh, it's also beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just also beautiful, and it makes you. It gives you that genius loci. It elevates your spirit. You walking through these little towns, San Sebastian, little town on the French-Spanish border there, Basque country, and you're like, these people live here. It's like amazing, beautiful buildings and little apartments upstairs and great little cafes, and everybody walks around. Nobody's fat. Everybody, you walk out in the inner city park. And there's kids kicking a soccer ball. There's couples. They're talking and dancing and smiling and eating ice cream.
Yeah.
And they're not fat drinking Starbucks.
Yeah, right.
They're walking around and having fun.
Right.
And you look at it and say, these people get it. They know how to live.
Right.
The Spanish know how to live.
Oh yeah.
They take a nap every day. No, I'm not kidding.
A siesta.
And then they might not eat dinner till 10. Though.
Right. Yeah.
And then they walk around.
Yeah.
You get home by midnight.
Right.
What are you gonna do? Well, it's called Paseo. Paseo. After dinner, you go walk around.
Yeah, you gotta digest.
Yeah, you walk around, and there's so much to see, and it's so beautiful, and the people are so friendly, and so fit.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't know what they're putting in our food. You know that, like, you can get, not that I would eat any of this processed food, but you can get, let's say, a package of Oreos in America. Mm-hmm. And they sell Oreos in France, too. You can compare the ingredients labels. And it's two wholly different cookies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not eating either one of them, but that's fact.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with all that. That's why I try to eat clean.
Wait, you try to eat clean, too?
And I know you do. I'm very happy about that. Yeah. Did you always eat clean? Because I tried to, Josie, at least she had the knowledge of trying to eat healthy around the house.
Yeah.
Because that's how I like it.
Yeah. Now, growing up, I ate a lot of fast food and stuff. And I
remember you had stomach problems too.
Yes, I did. But then, like, I started taking supplements and stuff. I didn't really change my diet a ton until probably the last couple years. But, like, I really think that the stuff in the food has just gotten exponentially worse, even from when I was, like...
No, I think so, too.
Just even, like, 10 15 years ago. Like,
yeah, I think so, too.
So...
I think so, too. I think they've kicked it up a notch, so to speak. To what end, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, it's... But you think about it, this doesn't even appeal to me. There's nothing... I used to like cereal. As recently, I probably knew you when I would have cereal.
Yeah.
I liked cereal.
Yeah.
I was an adult, sometimes I had cereal.
You had a whole business idea to make a ramen noodle food truck.
Yes.
And so, like...
Yes, I was ahead of the curve on that ramen thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have a cup of noodles at your house all the time.
Yes,
and,
I know.
But,
And that's poison. But for some, that's more of a... I can remember eating that stuff when I was like college student, having money.
It's nostalgia.
Didn't kill me then. You
Right.
know, I probably wouldn't eat it. Well, if I was hungry enough, I'd eat damn near anything.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't go out of my. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have that now. But yes, I would eat that. I definitely improved my diet since those days. But always, I've been not one into a lot of crap food. You know? I just don't like it. I think it doesn't appeal. I don't know the people that walk down those aisles in the cookie aisle, like none of the, they could give them to me free. I don't want that. Although I do kind of like a Triscuit from time and again, but there's only 4 ingredients in that. Unfortunately, one of them is soybean oil. But
our personal favorite is the chocolate peanut butter Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
Yes.
And the strawberry.
That's an addiction that I'm not afraid to say. I'm actually proud of it. I eat a pint of ice cream every night.
Yeah. That's been the hardest.
I don't weigh a nickel's weight worth than I did before I started doing it either.
That's been the hardest part of my challenge so far. Is no ice cream.
Let me tell you what I bet. But but use it as a carrot later. Dangle out there. Let me tell you something. In Spain and France, there's an ice cream shop like we got Starbucks's.
Oh yeah.
Every corner.
Yeah, when we were in Venice,
and
there's
people
gelato like
walk around.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
With ice cream. It's part of the culture.
Yeah.
And let me say it one more time. Everybody was fit looking there.
Yeah.
Right? It ain't the ice cream, man.
No.
It ain't the ice cream.
Right.
I got news.
Yeah.
So yes, I do eat that, and I love it. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned it, because I need to go by the grocery store on the way home.
There you go.
I forgot about that. Oh shit, there's a lot of... Hang on a second. I can call him back. I'll call him right back immediately. But I spent most of my life always taking either of their calls as well. And like to the point where Josie calls me coming home from work most nights that she's working. And sometimes I forget to bring my phone because...
She just goes down the list, though.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You get it too? It's not just me?
If I think she'll call either you, Heather, or... And I think she rotates who she calls first. And if one of us doesn't answer, she goes on to the next person.
She's always been one for fairness.
She is.
She's something, isn't she? God, I love her so much. Apple of my eye. When she was born, I both of my kids, really all 3 of them, that's one of the greatest joys in life. And if you take nothing else away from this, and people that watch this or listen to this are your age, have some damn kids.
Yeah.
Because the future belongs to demographics. You don't want to be lonely and no kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's the greatest joy. It's a lot of work, but so is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, so is work.
Right.
Work's a lot of work. Everything's a lot of work, and it's the most rewarding work you can possibly have, because you get a payoff of a wonderful human, that you got a hand in, and that loves you, and you love them, and there's nothing more lovely than that.
Absolutely.
It's have kids, man.
That's great.
Don't wait too late.
And hopefully this is a good thing to look forward to. Is I think so many people, Josie and my age, our perspective and the narrative is shifting.
Right.
And so I really think that the kids that we raise are going to be thinking differently than how people are thinking now.
Oh, I should hope so.
And so, I do think that...
Imagine having a piece of land, and they would have it, and you'd have 5 kids or 8 kids.
Yeah.
And y'all work that damn land.
Yeah.
And that's how it worked. And you know what? you were known in town. They were the Montague family. Oh, those Montague boys are strong or whatever.
Yeah.
And like then next thing you know, their one's a little older. They open a little shop in town. Next thing you know, your family owns the whole damn town. That's family as well, right there.
Absolutely.
Period.
So.
Period. And to some extent, you know, my parents kind of did the antique business. There's me and Elijah and Susan, Jeff, Linda now. I mean, you know.
Yeah, everyone's in it.
Everyone's in it. You know, and that's wealth.
Yeah,
it really is. Anyway, I'm gonna get some ice cream.
Absolutely. Thanks for the conversation.
I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, I did too. So, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow on whatever platform you're listening on and send it to a friend. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. They really help boost my exposure. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed and liking every video. It really helps the algorithm. Links to all my and my guest socials, along with music credits, are in the show notes. Thanks so much. Love y'all. Bye.